Alright, so these videos are going to be all over the place for a little while. I got a bunch of stuff to do on this. This one is currently getting injectors, which you guys will see. Right here, we got GB Manufacturing injectors. So that was what this one's getting. As you guys saw in the beginning of the video, these are going to be a little all over the place for a while. That hospital trip kind of threw me back a little bit. Was not expecting at 28 years old to deal with what I was dealing with, but it is what it is. We're going to try to stay clean today. Got gloves, just ordered a new pair of those. We got fender flares there. We got, I'll show you what we got here. We got full send diesel transmission lines, brand new transmission cooler, and then this thing is pretty much 95%. And then these two are both out of here. I do gotta, you know, we wanted to get some of this stuff covered up and whatnot, just kind of like clean it up, make it look a little bit better as requested. But as of now, I've had this thing apart since about, I think I tore this apart Tuesday, and then Wednesday we had the ambulance ride and the hospital trip. Thursday, resting all day. I'm supposed to be resting now, but you guys know me, I don't like to take time off. I know health scares and whatnot, but it is what it is. So I just want to get this truck done for him. Tomorrow we are headed down to Maryland to go finish up the little wrecker. All right, you guys can see we've had this thing torn apart for a couple of days. Get some of that stuff out of there. We have number 5 and number 1. So what ended up happening was the solenoid on number 5, if you guys look over all the resistance, you ohm these out above 0 but less than 1. Number 1 was 1.3 and number 5 was about 90. So 90 ohms. So that is very, very bad. It was actually shutting off injectors number 1, 2, and 5. Actually, it was shutting off all 3 of the back cylinders, but number 1 was also another problem child, and it was throwing a code for number 2, but number 2 actually tested out okay. So we are going to be replacing the problem injectors today, as opposed to doing all 6, especially with how much money was thrown in this thing. Let me catch some of that. So we're just doing number 5, doing number 1. Remember, on a Cummins, you do not have to replace all 6. I do recommend replacing all 6, but it is not something that is required. You can also see back there like the firewall stuff. That's definitely coming down. I'm trying to catch as much of that as possible, but we're going to get number 5 thrown in first, get everything torqued down, get the valve adjustment done, and we're also going to get number 1 thrown in here. And then this thing should be done about 2.5 hours to do all this, plus a diag, plus the tow to get it here. So all said and done, it's like 5 hours for pretty much everything. Yes, we could have done all 6. Generally, we charge about 6 hours for that because we got to do a valve adjustment on every single one of them, and it's just no fun. But like I said, customer opted to do 2. A lot of money's been thrown in this truck, and I'll give you guys some, you know, some driving videos on this once we are done. And at some point, we're going to start working back on this thing, get this thing done and out of here too, because then that'll be 2 spots. And I'm probably going to buy this spot here, but we shall see. I know you guys have seen me do injectors a million freaking times. I don't know if it's been on this channel, but you can see the hole right there. That needs to go there. And then you're just going to press it in. And then same with this ends up on the top. Some of them have 2 dots, some of them have a line. So it goes in the upwards position, and then pop it in. There you go. And I'm gonna get these torqued down to the factory specs. I gotta look it up because I never remember these specs, but I like to look them up, make sure that they're gonna be right. We'll torque these down, and then we'll torque the nut here. And then we can put the rock arms back on, torque them down, valve adjustment, and get everything all said and done. All right, since you guys have seen me do this a bunch of times, it's all back together now. What we're gonna do is we're gonna get it fired up and see how she runs. I'm gonna fit through here. It's a tight fit, but I got this. There we go. So I'm gonna get her fired up. I'm gonna set this off to the side, and we'll see how she runs, because it was running on 3 cylinders before. I'd be surprised if it was running on 3 cylinders. Actually, it might have only been running on 2, because number 1, number 2, and number 4 or 5, sorry, we're throwing a code, but number 5 was the one that was really bad. So Let's get her all fired up and make sure we don't have any leaks. That sounds way better. That's way better. All right, let's go through some diag. Let's clear these codes out, because that was the main thing. Here, let's get these back to the color that they were as well. Kind of bugs me when things aren't where they're supposed to be. So, trouble codes. We're going to clear all. Trouble codes have been cleared. Back, exit. Look at that. That sounds healthy. I don't hear the exhaust brake kicking on, but all right. I should have filmed it before. I wasn't planning on making a video, but I had so much stuff to do, including this thing here. And unfortunately with the whole hospital thing, like it definitely threw me off. So the goal was, I need to get this done. Now I need to get this moving because I've already taken the trans cooler off of it. I'll show you guys what's going on here. I've already taken the trans cooler off, and somebody put the wrong cooler on it. They just put a universal one. OEM stuff. I agreed to fix all this stuff before the sale. So I went and got an OEM one. So I'm gonna cut the ends off. We're gonna put these on, and we got fender flares, and then this thing's good to go as well. But I need to get this moving to get this out of the way so he can pick this up tonight. I think before the sale he's gonna take these fender flares off, but I am gonna get the valve cover back on, and then this thing's good to go. You guys can also see he replaced these, and I redid all the wiring on these to you know, make the nice new harnesses, and I think they came out good. So get all that stuff. I gotta get all that stuff cleared out of the way too, because like this, all that, yeah, it's kind of, that sucks. So this all was supposed to be done Tuesday, but she's all good now. I'm gonna test drive this later. We're gonna back this into the hole. I'm gonna try to go up there and see about getting this second spot, because I really like this, and this is a lot cheaper with how the shop situation's going. So now I need to go ahead. I'm gonna grab this thing. See, we're doing this correctly. I'm spending the money to do this correctly. So we went and got, this is the cooler that is supposed to be on the front of the second gen Dodge. It's like a $200 cooler. And those lines were like 300 bucks. Shout out to Full Send Diesel. If you guys need anything, use my link in the description. But these transmission lines is the third set I've gotten, and these things are absolutely amazing. I love these things. So what we're gonna be doing is these ends right here. I'll show you how nice these are. So you're gonna take this and you're gonna walk it over to your piece here. We're gonna void the warranty on this guy, and we are going to cut. You guys can see that nub, you're gonna cut that off. And then you're gonna stick this over top of it. You can see how there's a little thing in there. You're gonna stick that right over top. It's gonna sit just like that, and you're gonna torque it down, and then that's gonna crimp into this end. So I'm gonna get this cut off, and I'll show you guys what it looks like. All right, so I screwed up a little bit. I actually, I went and checked how this fits on the truck, and these make like a straight 90, which we don't actually need the ends. And I realized that the ends are, if you guys can see it, a little bit bigger. So these weren't sliding on easy. Now they do. Apparently you're supposed to actually cut further back. So where I cut is perfect, whereas I was cutting the ends off those like on a third gen like mine. So this will sit just like that on the truck. And then now we can get these lines. I'm gonna get these fittings installed. You can see that slides out. Oh, I haven't even put this on yet. Let's see if it actually fits. Oh, look at that. See, it fits. So now we're gonna find a spot for that to go, tighten these down, and then we can put this on the truck, and then we can start running the trans lines. All right, so here you go. OEM trans cooler with the AN lines stuck on there. So now all I gotta do is just pop this bad boy on the truck, unhook the trans lines, and we're good to go. All right, so I got the trans cooler on. Look how much OEM-er that looks. OEM-er, is that even, are we gonna go there? So it's pretty tight down in there. So what I did was I actually installed the lines first because it was pretty damn tight. I had to take the bumper off. So you can see down in there, they're right there. So we're gonna run them all along down on the side, and hopefully this thing doesn't leak after. This thing took a beating getting in there. But all the mounts lined up. I found a bolt and I found 2 nuts that worked. Hopefully the hard stuff's over. And then I can scrap this guy, this little thing. All right, so we got them routed. I don't have them mounted up yet. You can see runs right along there. On the 2nd gen, they're pretty close, I will say. I'm gonna use the angle grinder to cut the trans lines because I don't have time to deal with trying to hold on to them and whatnot. But you guys will see there's one right there, and then there's one up there. I don't know what I'm gonna do with that sensor. We'll find out. Pretty sure that's just a temp sensor, but that's gonna go right there. You can see like it's pretty damn close. We got her all back together. Made a little bit of a mess. We're gonna get it cleaned up. But I pulled all the transmission lines out. We're still letting the 2 from the cooler drain. Probably gonna leave those in there because they're not very easy to get out, but they're in a nice spot. So I'm gonna show you what the repairs the previous owner did. So when I bought this truck, oh, that's leaking. I was told, oh, it needs a transmission service. All right, you know, whatever. So I looked at the receipt. Transmission service was done. This is good fluid. This is good brand new red fluid. You can see how red that is. It's coming up purple on here, but it's red, right? So it was leaking from every single line. The dude used so many hose clamps to fix this. Look at that, 2 there, 2 there. Like everything was leaking something fierce. So new full send diesel transmission lines, everything in. We didn't get it started up yet. I got to top it off because we did lose a little bit. I'm gonna get, like I said, I'm gonna get all this cleaned up, and we're gonna zip tie and do what I did on my truck and try to make it all nice and get it up out of the way so it's not touching the starter, the motor mount, or the steering shaft. That way I know the new owner's not going to have any issues. But that's just one of those. The guys give me shit for anything I do. I don't want to hear it. Anybody giving me shit for my repair work, y'all, people are dumb as shit. Like, look how you cannot use hose clamps on transmission lines. You just can't. Replace them. It's not hard to get even aftermarket lines. Like, this guy went and actually bought brand new lines from the cooler, everything. He bought brand new everything. But you can just use AN lines on, and it works. I don't understand that shit. I don't know. We're gonna get it all thrown back together. I gotta scrap out a bunch of this stuff, and I'm gonna get that started up, bleed it out, and we'll go from there. All right, we got her pulled out. She runs, drives. No leaks. So we are gonna back this up to the camper because I still gotta put fender flares on it before it gets picked up. Got the mega cab pulled out. She runs really, really good now. I had to put some money into her to get her good to go again, but we won't talk about that. Let's get her backed in close as we can. There we go. Might be doing a fuel plate to this thing, I'm not sure yet, but she runs good now. just so you guys can see. No leaks other than, yeah, just those. So I'm gonna have to get them cut off at some point as well. I'm hoping to be able to do a 5-inch exhaust on this thing, but this thing runs really, really good now. Look at that, trans cooler's in there. We got a good cooler. Bumpers put back on. She's just a mint unit now. All right, they are off. So let me know if you guys want to see anything on this thing. I'm gonna see if I can get any special requests on it. I'd love to do an exhaust to it, and fuel plate, and a I'd like to have bigger wheels and tires on it, but ultimately at the end of the day I don't get to make that decision. But she's all cleaned out and everything's good. The fender flares are gonna make a nice little touch to it, kind of cover up the little, you know, the little rust that it does have. I think she'll look good. And then these are the screws and all that. So none of this stuff's cheap. Those lines are like 300 bucks, fender flares are 200 bucks. That was like 250 bucks right there on the cooler, which definitely opens up the front look a little bit. But I'm gonna get this thing backed in here and then we're gonna head out. I'll be back in a little bit, but that's the lineup for now. It's a nice open spot for that. This guy right here, I don't know, I might start doing that and just bringing trucks out here, because like it's kind of nice. We're gonna go test drive this thing to make sure she is all good. By the way, none of these black marks are from me, so just keep that in mind. I didn't do any of those, but this truck is for sale if anyone is interested in it. He has put quite a bit of money into it, so if anybody wants it, I think he's $18,000 or best offer at this point. Has just about 400,000 miles on it, but it's a good clean mega cab. Frame has been oil coated and everything, no rust on the rockers. I believe he went through and did all the stuff on there. New transmission lines, new heat exchanger, new transmission cooler, bunch of new things, exhaust brake, whole 9 yards. Edge CTS3 gauges. It's a good truck, so I'm gonna go test drive it, make sure she runs good, because I want to make sure he gets a good truck back. 398 on the dash. All right, we're gonna check, see if we have any obvious leaks. Not seeing anything, which is good. It's always a positive. Seems like it's running all right. No blow by.